Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure and a privilege for me to be invited here. It takes me totally out of the usual box where I give speeches. Now, we heard this morning the future is female. We heard statements about the world in which we live. What I want as well to say is that the future, the present and the future are digital. The present is already digital, and I don't think I need to elaborate a lot to convince you how this is having a dramatic impact on everything we do. Now, Alice needs to move in this new wonderland, and I strongly believe that this is such a dramatic transformation. So my talk today is a pitch of humility in moving into this. There will not be recipes. What I'm suggesting today is a promenade of the mind in reading what is happening in this move. Everything is moving from physical to digital to virtual. Now, cities, civilizations have been set up and developed along natural ways of communication. Why do we speak about a civilization along that river, the Amazon civilization, or the Nile civilization? Why do we speak about civilization around the shores of seas and oceans or in the valleys between mountains? Because this allowed communication between men and women and men and women. Today, these routes of communication are dramatically changing. Are we witnessing new civilization? Certainly we are. We are witnessing new borders. And I am a strong optimist that with this radical change, this is the time to have breakthroughs. This is the time, this is an opportunity for us to advance gender equality agenda. This is an opportunity, and this is happening, to use this and to advance things that youth, empowering youth, putting them into power. And by the way, this transformation is not decided by the large companies. This transformation is not decided by some of the people here. This transformation is decided out there. People we do not know yet, or we do not imagine yet, the applications that are there. Most of the top 20 companies in the world in market capitalization did not exist 20 years ago. So this indicates the importance. Now, this civilization transformation is going through a fundamental paradigm shift. Whether we are individuals, parents, children, groups, families, corporations, small enterprises, entrepreneurs, large corporations, governments, nations, we are moving from what I call the culture of unshared certainties. When I started decades ago in the telecom field, we didn't need to talk to anyone. We didn't need to talk to the cinema industry, to the music industry. We knew what we had to do. We had power of state, and we didn't need to share. From these unshared certainties, we are moving to a situation where all stakeholders, multiple dimensions, we are sitting around the table. That's the good news. The less good news, but that's a fact now, is that we are sharing uncertainties. Business models are constantly evolving, which is forcing the fact that whatever the sector you are in, you will need to think and to frame and to execute on how you need to go in this transformation. One word, culture. Peter Drucker said, he's a guru in these corporate. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, operational excellence for lunch, and everything else for dinner. Because in the world we are today, copy-pasting whatever you do is something simple. The only thing that large, successful companies cannot have copied is the culture that they built. Whether you are a young entrepreneur, by your behavior, by the way you are already inducing a culture that will prevail and that will continue with your company. This happened with these startups that became mainstream in our lives and one of the largest market capitalizations today in the world. Now, moving into that route, there is a mindset. When I was a teenager, and I say this to my kids, I'm blessed. I have 5 children from 3 mothers, but that's a different subject. But the diversity allowed me to see and to watch. My older son, 29 years old, in the way he behaves, and my younger, 14 years old. When I was the age of the younger, we were in a culture of having the right answer. We would distinguish ourselves because we know the answer. Today, I believe in these shared uncertainties, we need to move to the culture of the right question. We need to move from answer to question. Now, the move, if you are today providing a service, SP, and please bear with me the formal or didactic way I'm going to express that, but believe me, it's not as complicated. It's not a mathematical equation. You are a service provider, and you need to move in a digital transformation. Whatever service provider you are, whatever is your business, hospitality, retail, you're providing things for services, consulting, etc., aviation, transport, you need to move in a digital transformation. And what I want to say is that this is an inside and an outside front, 2 fronts. To move in this digital transformation, you need to start by thinking. And very often companies do not make the difference and forget that first part. How I digitize the current business that I want to do. My interaction with my customers, my entire factory, the entire way I do customer care, the entire way my supply chain, etc. I need to digitize that. And then I need to think how I provide digital services. And somebody in corporations or even in few people startups have to think, what is the best next generation infrastructure I need to use for that? This is usually this curve. Now, the magic recipe, you remember I said culture. It's everything. The difference, the main difference that happens is the graph pace is totally changed, but how your employees are living this. That requires leadership to frame, to communicate, to convince, to execute on these transformations. Now, this might seem a complex thing. Some of you are saying, yes, of course, this is several thousand employees that he has in his company. This is a very structured, very regulated industry. Believe me, I have talks with CEOs from companies that can range from a small startup. I sit on the board of some accelerator incubators of startup. I have a passion for that. And I can tell you the same logic applies, of course, differently, but this is where our intelligence, not the artificial one, our own intelligence should allow us to put the cursor. We are moving from a workforce. We always spoke about the workforce. Today, workforce in the classical sense is transforming to what we call a workforce ecosystem. Workforce was simply people times the traditional skills. I needed people in marketing. I needed people in sales, in IT, in finance, etc. The world today is transforming this workforce, the new workforce ecosystem, by adding next generation skills. I need today, I'm looking, experts in AI, experts in digital transformation, experts in blockchain, experts in data analytics, etc., etc. And guess what? This is across all functions. We need to find, I need my marketing person, probably I need my HR person to understand what is needed for artificial intelligence, blockchain, AI, big data, etc., etc. And what my dear friend and presenter, who puts all the pressure on me after he introduced me the way he did, mentioned about speaking about the cubicles, etc. It's a work ecosystem. which is the work environment. That is not only about flexible hours, working from remote working, the digital tools. It's about as well the mindset. Trust, again, back to culture, it's everything. It's about the trust, it's about the transparency, it's about the honesty, it's about being able to induce these values. This is the sustainability of your business, whatever you do, wherever you are. This is cross cultures. Now, moving from this, that has some consequences on the organization. The operating models are likely to change. The pace of this, again, there is no magic recipe. It's a pitch of humility. I'm just giving a reading, and then the intelligence around that has to happen. It's about, as well, expectations. Today, my employees, the employees of our company, are using Uber, are using talabat to order or whatever. I don't want to make any. So when they see our services, the customers, my customers, our company's customer, please forgive the appropriation, are not comparing Du versus Etisalat. They're using all these and they say, why? My kids, why is it complicated when to call for a Kareem or an Uber, I do 2 clicks? This is our employees' expectations have to be managed now, internally and externally. The level of service you need to ensure. The metrics to measure our culture are not only customer experience and customer satisfaction, they are employee engagement as well. This has to go hand to hand. So the internal and external. And last but not least, that I was talking about, the importance of measuring, the importance of incentive. Anything that cannot be measured cannot improve. So this is part of that. Now, the interesting thing, there is a transformation in the way we look at our business, again, internally and externally. We are moving from VIP to VIP. And when I mean by VIP, we have a way of putting importance of everything. You have internal organization chart determine who's important, the CEO, the executives, etc. Actually, these pyramids are more and more reversed. These pyramids today are more and more reversed because the people who are really managing, these are the people who are carrying the entire bread and butter of your culture. Now, for your customers, you can judge that by, if you're an airline company, you have all these list of, if you are in Emirates, you have platinum, gold, silver. It's clearly how much you spend. If you are with Du, other telcos, this is as well related of average revenue per user. So this is normal. We're moving from that, the very important person, whatever is the definition, to the very individualized person. In a time where everything you touch can be aggregated and can give information on you, we should be able to, and this is what's happening. This is Mr. Zuckerberg in front of the American Congress, bringing all the big data together. But of course, there need to be the right regulatory framework. Of course, there need to be the right sense of human to do this. We're moving to this very individualized person. In the beginning, when I started, the drive was what technology can make possible. It took some time because telecom, as I said, they were power of state, one incumbent operator offering everything. Mobiles were not there. Now, some of you remember a time where you lived without a mobile phone. Not you ladies. You're too young to have known this age, but there are a few men here and there. They do remember that, believe me. So there was only one company offering everything. With the mobility, the economy equation started to come, economic dimension. And the conversation started between what technology can make possible and what economy makes viable. And we lived with that. When in the middle of the years 2000, social networking totally, and of course, the advance of technologies, what you can do now, generation after generation of mobility technology, another dimension entered, and I believe that we do not have enough conversations now around these three dimensions: the technology, the economy, and the societal. With technologies like artificial intelligence, robots, intelligent robots, with technologies, the average age, Peter Diamandis says 100 is the new 60. Ladies, this is very important to you, but to all of us. So this person is going to live longer, and this person is told, oh, you know what? At an earlier and earlier stage, you're going to be replaced by a robot. That is not a fatality. What I'm saying, there need to be conversations. What kind of societies, what kind of... And in this conversation, I believe strongly, agendas can have breakthrough. I mentioned this. Gender equality agenda, the youth agenda, all these are great causes that I'm very optimistic that this digital disruption can push in the right dimension. We are in a world where everything around us is becoming sensing. The car, the fridge, the door, the window, etc. Add to this that everything is connected. Add to this, so everything sensing, a piece of data is moving. Everything connected, all this data is aggregated together. Add some data science. The first part is what we call the Internet of Things. The second thing is all the connectivity. Then you add some data science, big data, artificial intelligence, and everything becomes smart. So what is happening? Data is becoming information. When information is being used, put some data science, it becomes knowledge, and hopefully knowledge will serve the collective wisdom to push our societies, to push the world in which we live in the right direction. As I said, new borders are being created. Recently in the World Economic Forum, an Australian minister said, the international rules order is finished. The one that was created after the Second World War, institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, or WTO are what is the new order? We don't know. But we have to ask the right questions. We shouldn't have the right answers. We will find, with the right wisdom, we will find the right answers. The world is moving from centralized to decentralized, even on the things we used. Some of you knew this era of mainframe. We moved to desktop. Then we moved, now it's not anymore on desktop, cloud. And tomorrow we are even told that this is completely decentralized with a technology that has the ability to totally disrupt what we're doing, the blockchain. Disrupt the role of governments, disrupt the role of institutions, and disrupt the whole borders. And the most important part, and I will end with that, we spent decades in the Industrial Revolution to move from human to automated. Then we moved to digital. Now we are moving to smart, and we are told that the next era is moving to these intelligent robots. Are we? And by the way, we hear more and more that we want to humanize the robot. You have seen all in some TV shows that this robot, usually a very nice-looking person speaking in a very cold, mechanical way, saying, my name is Lucy, and you know that. And we're inducing emotions. We're inducing the real. With AI, Lucy is already intelligent, but we're inducing emotions, and we're inducing more and more of human. I like to make an act of faith. We should have a paradigm shift in thinking of that. We need to be back to this future. From human to automated to digital to smart, we need to put human at the heart of everything we do. Because it's about, out there, people are just having anxiety about these tremendous changes and disruptions. I think it's all of us, decision makers, policy makers, industrial players, civil society, organization, whatever they feel, to just continue to be around the table for these conversations, put human. How can we do it? No recipe, but I think common wisdom. We have to open our eyes to look at that. We have to open our minds and accept. And how needy is this region in what's happening? I strongly believe that this will allow, hopefully, this region to move from the logic of clanic belonging that is destroying this region to a real logic of development. It happened in this country. The only country where this happened in this region is the UAE, and we have to open our hearts. I will conclude with just one example of that. The UAE is probably one of the only countries who have a minister of artificial intelligence. Is this drive towards the more technology? At the same time, you have a minister of tolerance, you have a minister of youth, and you have a minister of, the last one, happiness, my dear Her Excellency Ahoud, and the Minister of Happiness. That is reminding us that this balance needs to be found. And if I have a pitch today, is just as I said, it's a promenade of the mind. I hope that you will do the integration with all the great things that you heard today, and I hope that this has been useful to you. Thank you very much for having me today.